everyone, delonewolf here, and welcome back to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. And it's coming up on the screen right about now. Tengu making one of the biggest jumps I've seen in a very long time. 63% increase in price. I'm not sure what happened there, but I think that the tech tree market could be pretty interesting this week. Anyways, let's take a quick sit down here and then we'll start on our weekly look at the market. As always, I will start with plex, and that's at around 35 seconds. And that's pretty interesting. Plex are pulling back just a little bit, but to 1.2 billion, which is still a pretty damn high price. I would say from this chart there is some good news, or potentially some good news. That is that the 5-day moving average is right about to cross the 20-day moving average. So if it has enough momentum, we could be on a real downtrend for plex. Is that the case? That's always very hard to say, because unlike anything else in the economy, plex can be intervened on by CCP, and so that's of course one question that we'll probably have whenever we see a pullback for plex is this the market, or is this CCP intervening in the price of plex? Hard to say at the moment, but we'll need to keep a close eye on it. What could give us an indication are the buy orders and the sell orders, and right here as you can see, we can go down quite a bit. Oh my god, all of this until here we've got more than 24 hours old, but everything above that is less than 24 hours old, so that's quite significant. What I find a little bit worrying is this right here. So 4 sell orders of 10 plex that are very shortly after one another. That looks a little bit structured, and well, I'm not sure if it's an indication that this could be manipulation in an intervention by CCP. On the other hand, someone dumping 28 plex like 5 minutes ago for just below 1.2 billion could be an indication that it's actually the market that is driving this. So it's hard to tell at the moment, but we'll have to keep a close eye on plex then to determine whether this is market driven and if this has some momentum behind it, or if this is an intervention from CCP. What could give us another indication is the multiple pilot trading certificate, and what's interesting here is that that one is mirroring the exact same thing as plex. So assuming that CCP will only intervene in the plex market itself, could this be an indication that this is market driven? On one hand, yes, because it is pretty short notice. On the other hand, of course, people could just be converting plex to multiple pilot trading certificates in order to try and get a little bit more money out of it. So if those would be significantly higher, I think we'll see conversion happening, and thus it is normal that the multiple pilot trading certificate is going to mirror the plex, even if it is an intervention by CCP. So the fact that it's pretty close though could be an indication that this is just the market saying 1.25 billion is enough. At that point, supply seems to outstrip demand. It is a possibility. As I said, we'll have to keep a close eye on it in the upcoming weeks. Next up, the pilot's body rescope certificate. That one doesn't give any indication, because clearly it is doing its own thing. It has some spiky behavior to it, so for trades, perhaps, right here we started at maybe 215 million, something like that. We're currently selling them for 260, so that is not bad, but I think that the volumes are just too low to really say that you could make some decent trade money on that. I mean, don't get me wrong, 45-50 million on a single item is not that bad, but with these volumes you have to be pretty damn lucky to be the one that sells at those prices. Next up, we'll take a look at some of the minerals. That's going to be around 435. So let's plonk that down here, and we will start with titanium. And again, that is really interesting actually. Titanium showing that it still has legs up and it still has some momentum going up, and we're closing in on the 6 ISK, which is the price point we started 6 months ago before the mineral rebalance. I think that does show that there is ample demand for minerals at the moment, and the way I'm reading it at the moment is that this is preparation for the citadels. So let's take a look at the buyers and the sellers. The sellers 591, order size 740 million, 4 million, another 900 here. Buyers 582, so definitely closing that gap, and we still see 800 million, 700 million, 2 billion right here, 2 billion right here. So I would say that titanium still has legs, and that we will probably reach 6 ISK in the next week or so, and that is pretty interesting, seeing these high-stick minerals make a comeback like that. So if I go for the 1-year chart, you can see right here that before the rebalance we stayed around 6.2 right here, where we start 6.3 as a high point maybe, and then 6 ISK for a while. Then the really big correction because of the mineral rebalance in nullsec. We found the bottom, but now we're on our way back up towards 6 ISK, and I'm reading this as as preparation for the citadels. That's just my read on it. Let's see if this is also translating to the other minerals. That could be another indication. Here is the 6-month pyrite chart. Not as high as titanium, but at least it did come out of the bottom. So a bottom at around 10.8 ISK. We're currently looking at 11.6 ISK, and we came from 13 ISK. So pyrite would still have to make a bit of a comeback, would still have to increase in price decently, significantly, in order to make that story that I'm trying to make here come true. Let's take a look at supply demand here. Sellers 1172, so that's already a little bit higher than the chart. Still 140 million, 335 million, 176 million. Pretty decent supply. And yeah, the buyers 45 million. Then we have to go quite a bit lower, more than 24 hours old, before we see 309 million and another 100 billion. It's that big order of 1.7 billion right here that is actually putting a bottom on the pyrite price at the moment. So pyrites, I would love to see you quite a bit higher, to be honest. Let's take a look at Mexalon, and that is lovely for high-stick miners. I think we started 6 months ago at 58 ISK. We have broken that. We're heading towards 62 ISK, so a bottom at 42, now up to 62. That's an increase of about 1/3 of the price in not too long. That's not bad. I feel really happy that I think I bought some stocks at around this price point here. Let's take a look at supply demand then. 6178, 35 million, 240 million, 20 million. So it is coming in pretty significantly. On the other hand, demand, look at that, still the last order, almost 70 million units. Here we've got another 30, another 60. I do have to give the edge to supply at this point, but considering the sharp increase in price here, I think that's normal. At some point you need to either slow down, correct a little bit, or do something, because nothing goes straight up in the market. But the fact that there is still robust demand coming in, closing that gap between sellers and buyers, I think is a good indication that there is very strong demand at the moment for the high-stick minerals, and they are going up in price. So Mexalon and titanium breaking or reaching the price they had 6 months ago. That's pretty nice. Let's see what Isogen is doing. Started at 130, bottom below 100, and now we're heading back, breaking 120 ISK. Not bad, not bad. This is a real comeback, I think. And that is really not looking too bad for the high-stick miners. They're definitely getting more ISK for every hour they spend mining. Let's take a look at supply demand here. Almost 124 for the sellers, and here we've got 4 million, 13 million, 16 million, and then here another few orders just below 10 million. I guess it's a really big order right here of 337 million that is putting a bottom on the price. The other demand not that big in volume, so Isogen could start hesitating here, but it is interesting that it still managed to go up despite what we see here as being pretty low buy order numbers. So if my story is true and that a lot of people are actually buying for My stomach is growling. I hope you didn't hear too much of that. But if people are buying in preparation of the citadels, we could actually go even higher, especially considering where Mexalon is at, how Tritanium is doing. I think I'm going to stock up on some Pyrite because that one still looks relatively cheap compared to the other ones. What's also interesting is that we see now Mexalon really breaking out. We see Tritanium doing a double jump as well, and Isogen still going up despite some hesitation. I find it interesting that this is all happening now that we know that there's actually going to be a big expansion centered around the Citadel. So my way of thinking is that this could bring in new players, this could bring back old players that will want to check out the new content, they'll want to check out the citadels, and so that is just going to be even more demand for minerals if those are used in the construction of citadels, and I can't imagine that they're not. So all of this is really, I think, starting to show a story of people preparing, gearing up for producing citadels, but also for that really big demand for minerals, because, well, some of those excels, they're bound to be huge mineral dumps. So it's not looking too bad, and I'm definitely moving in tandem with this, considering my own activity at the moment in Evoline. I mean, I'm trying out Providence, but I'm also doing a little bit of mining, a little bit of stocking, and a little bit of buying of minerals on the market at the moment. Next up, we'll check out Noxium. That one is both high and nullsic mineral, and really does seem to be getting hit on both sides. It tried to go up a few times here, but now it's back down to its bottom of 480. And so we've also seen that the nullsic minerals have been going down significantly. So let's see if that is still happening as well. Let's take a look here at Zydrine. Yeah, breaking 1100, and this is where it is trying to settle down, but you can see that Zydrine knew quite a little bit of a pullback. The sellers have gone below 1100, the buyers are close to 1000 ISK. And we still see demand of 2 million here, 1.3 million here, 10 million here. You do see 3 million on a buyer right here, but you can also see that there's not that much competition above that. So yeah, Zydrine definitely corrected quite back, seems to have slowed down quite a little bit, possibly finding its bottom just below 1100. But I think that it is this downward trend, which must have been caused by quite a bit of supply from nullsec coming in, just dumping their stocks, that has also dragged down Noxium and is keeping it down at the moment. And here we've got the Megasite chart, pretty similar, went up as high as 2200, corrected back to 1400, but now it's slowly coming back to that bottom of 1400 ISK. Sellers are at 1491. Buyers are right there at 1400. I would not be surprised if we actually see this continued pressure, and that we will see Megasite settle at 1400, Zydrine at 1200, and then unfortunately Noxium at 480 as well. Still, this Noxium one I think is interesting if you want to take a gamble. If you do see that Citadel production take that many minerals out of the market, this could be your one chance to still make a really big profit on an increase in price triggered by the citadels in all of the minerals. I think that could still be the interesting one at the moment. And let's take a quick look at supply in Megasite. It is drying up, you don't see that many orders below 24 hours anymore, so all of this is settling just above 1400 at the moment. Quickly touch on Morphite, so I don't get any comments on that. Morphite managing to maintain its very high price of just around 12,500, I would say. So that one has been surprisingly stable in a period where both the high-sec minerals have gone up, the null-sec minerals have pulled back, and Noxium has basically been beaten down and is still at its bottom, very low at the moment. I think that one could be pretty damn interesting if you actually are looking for some trade money on the Citadel expansion. Next up, we'll see what the impact has been on Tech 1 chips. So that's around 1425. And yeah, let's take a look here. Here's the Armageddon chart. A bit of a high point here, but considering the variation here, I would say is probably between 198 and 202 million. This is not so bad. This does look like a pretty stable Armageddon market at the moment. 203 for the sellers, 197 for the buyers. 200 million is right in between that. It looks like 200 million for a battleship is what you'll be paying, and I think that's a pretty fair price. Supply still seems pretty strong with 23 of them coming in less than 24 hours ago. Here another 30, here another 10. So despite the fact that quite a few Armageddons have probably been bought because you don't see that many of the small orders, there is ample supply at 203 million to keep the price from really going up too drastically. Here's the Caracal chart. As you can see, quite a bit of movement on this one, probably because it is an Allsec doctrine. We're back at 12 million right here. We went as low as almost 10.5 million. But let's take a look if supply is coming in because of that. Yep, as you can see right here, 145, 13, 35, less than 24 hours old. In fact, less than 1 hour old. And so people are already putting that pressure back on the Caracals. I guess someone came in again, bought quite a few Caracals below 12 million. And so now the market's actually going to react on that. But the Caracal has always been a bit more volatile just because it is a pretty good fleet ship that is used a lot in Allsec. Next up here is the Dominics, settling around 195 million. So I would say that this is pretty much in line with the Armageddon. And 200 million for the sellers, 193 for the buyers. Not too bad. Supply seems pretty robust here. Less than 24 hours old is pretty much the first part here, and that's still 84, probably around 20 Dominics is being brought. Not bad. Demand, as you can see, pretty good as well. All of this is less than 24 hours old as well. I would say just below the 20 Dominics. So very healthy market, nothing too dramatic to report there. Here's the Drake breaking out a little bit, starting at 53, ending at 57. But will this last? Let's take a look at the supply. Less than 24 hours, less than 24 hours. Is it 60 days? I would say all of this. So that's 19, 11, 21. Someone definitely tried to sell them just below 61 million. But now the competition is starting right here. 3, 1, 1, 5, 8, 2, 7. All of them lowering that price. So the Drake, a little bit of a spike, but it will go down very quickly. If you want to buy a Drake at the moment, I would say either wait or try on a buy order. If you want to sell them, you can still try to get a slightly better price than the normal 55 million or something like that for a Drake. Here is the Mauler then, showcasing a very stable Tech 1 market at the moment. I mean, between 11 and 11.5 million, that's really a very small margin for a chart that starts, I would say, first half of June right here. So yeah, Mauler extremely stable, and at the moment going for around 10.5 million. What did just happen is someone bought them out. So look for this chart to increase pretty sharply all of a sudden next week, but I do suspect that it will actually drop back down pretty soon after that as well. So I did not see that because of the charts, but someone came in, bought a lot of cheap Maulers, everything probably below like 11.7 or 11.5 million. And this is going to cause a little bit of a price spike. So if you have the opportunity, the possibility to bring a lot of Maulers to the markets, this could just be the exact right time where you'll get a little bit more out of them because of what just happened on the sell orders. Next up here is the Myrmidon, coming off of just one of those spikes, but again, let me show you, it starts at 53 and ends at 58 million, so that really does get stopped very quickly. It's not like you're gonna make huge trades on this or something. And we are back down towards 54 million. 56 million for the sellers, 52 for the buyers. There's not that much demand. Supply, I would say, but 5, 2, 12 and 1 is not bad. Around 20 of them. 40 to 50 for daily volumes is not out of the question. So a couple of Myrmidons could be brought to the market for a slightly better price, but 55, it's really not that much higher. Next up here is the Oracle. stable at around 81 million. Few data points showing that they are going higher. Did they get bought out as well? Yes. There's no supply of oracles. They're going as high as 94 million, so expect another spike to happen right there. That is quite surprising, and this is a very good deal. So if you have an oracle blueprint or you have reserve of those, yeah, definitely bring those to the market, because you're getting a much better price for these all of a sudden, because they're completely empty. The oracle market has been completely emptied out. I'm not sure what's happening, but that's a second Amar ship that's been bought out all of a sudden. Could be that there's more behind this, but pretty damn interesting. Here's the Raven. That one is doing what I expect a Tech 1 market to do. A bit of a spike up to 190, but the correction is in, and that is going to be not that much supply again. What's happening? Are people just are some really big players doing some really big buying of Tech 1 ships all of a sudden? 2-1, yeah, all of this, not that much new supply here, so looks like they've actually just been bought out below 183 once again. Well, 183 for the sellers, 183 for the buyers. You're not getting that good of a deal to actually try and sell them right here. 189, it's not that drastic either, so a little bit of a weird situation seeing such low supply for the Ravens. On the other hand, the current price for the Ravens is not that good either, so it could be that they actually want to bring the Raven in line with the other battleships around 200 million. Then that could actually be a reason why people are not producing Ravens at the moment. Why would you make Ravens and sell them for 180 to 190 when you could make Armageddons, sell them for 200 million, or you could make Oracles, which have just been bought out? So that could be one of the reasons. We'll check out the Stabber. Finally, something that does show some stability at around 10.6 million. It is a cruiser, of course, is the supply here. Despite the fact that we're not seeing many orders, we do see 68, 33, 111 coming to the market. So I guess that's quite okay to still maintain a stable price for the Stabber. I mean, 50 of them every day, and these orders make up for almost 3, 4, 5 days of supply anyway. So yeah, still looking like the Stabber is going to be able to stay stable. Here's the Tornado then, a little bit of volatility at the end. We are now at 75 million. Has that one been bought out? No. Finally, something that looks a little bit more normal. 50 of them coming in here is definitely going to put up some pressure. That was the response to this price spike up to 76 million, and so now that pressure is on, and we'll probably see the Tornado correct back a little bit. But again, all of this does tend to look a little bit more dramatic on the chart than it actually is. An increase from 73 to 75 million. I mean, it looks like a sharp increase, but it's only 2 million, so it's really not that huge. As long as we stay within like maybe 70 to 78 million, all of this is still pretty reasonably stable. Next up here we've got the Typhoon going for 178 million. Is that supply drying up as well? Yes, it is. So what I do think is happening to the Typhoon and the Raven here is that they're just that much cheaper than all of the other battleships, that people can find other stuff to produce at the moment where they're getting more money for the minerals they're investing. So I think that could be happening as well. And here is the Vexor then. Definitely a jump up to 12.5 million. So that's almost 10%. That's not so bad. But here that normal response is in 50, and that's all less than 4 hours old. 50, 31, 3, 95, 49, 12. So this spike is going to be cut short quite quickly, coming back down to a regular price of around 11.5 million, I think. So there is a little bit of worry on my end here when I'm seeing all of these ships that are pretty much emptied out of the market. I'm also a little bit worried that some of these battleships are not being produced at the moment. What I think could be happening is that people are just starting to really hoard their minerals in anticipation of the citadels, and that this could have a slight impact on the Tech 1 market as well. The Tech 1 market is absolutely huge. It's very, very big, which is why it's so stable, or partly why it's so stable. But it could be that the hoarding of minerals is having a little bit of an impact on it at the moment. So we'll have to wait and see. what this does open up is some really good opportunities like the Oracle, like not the Drake but like the Mauler. Maybe 96 is quite a bit though, so someone may have already tried to take advantage of this, but this might open up some opportunities for industrialists to plug some gaps. But would you want to do it if you expect a 10, 20, maybe 30% return on the minerals you hold? Why would you invest that in producing ships that are not going to get you that margin? So yeah, it's interesting, and I definitely need to keep a close eye on this as well in the upcoming weeks. Next up, Tech 2. Let's see if there's some trade potential at least. 25.10 for that. Let's take a look at some of these charts here. Here's the Basilisk chart. Try to go as low as 180, but it's already going back up towards 200 million. So buyers 174, sellers 200. That's a decent margin. I think you could try to buy these basilisks if this has some legs, but it's probably too late because we're probably working on our way up. So if you have them, if you manage to buy them at these buy orders, you're probably looking at potentially some money in the upcoming days. Keep a close eye out if this increase in price here up to 200 has momentum upwards. Next up here is the Cerberus. That one is going pretty low. Do we have buy orders below 180? Just at 180. Decent supply still, but I think if at some point you want to make some money on Cerberus, this could be a good time to put in some buy orders. Next up here, the Enyo, the assault frigate. I'm not liking that too much. It's at what would be considered a high of 22.5 million, but with a low of 21.5, you're not gonna make any money on this. So Enyo, nope, I don't really like this one. Here's the Guardian, showing that unfortunately the opportunity is over, but you could have sold them as high as 165 on this chart, bought at 130, so that's not bad, you know, probably 20% profits were to be made. Buyers are at 126 on the chart. Not bad, not bad. But coming off of just a spike and settling right here so quickly, I would be careful to already call this the right buy order. It could be that we'll go down a little bit further, that we'll see a new bottom below 120. If you can buy them at that price, that's a great opportunity. That's definitely going to you're definitely going to be able to sell them for much more than that at some point. Next up here is the Hound, also breaking 17, slowly going down. What are the buy orders at 16 million? Not that many of them anymore. There's a big sell order right here that's going to prevent the spike to happen right now, but you could buy some decently cheap Hounds and maybe wait for the opportunity to sell them at 19, 20 million, something like that. It is possible. Here is the Ishtar, also coming off of a high at 175 million. Buyers 160, 10%. I mean, it's not that big, but it does show that despite the fact that the Ishtar is bound to be a huge market in the Tech 2 market just because of how good a ship it is, it still shows enough volatility to get 10%, and 10% on 150 million is not bad. It's still 15 million considering volumes of 100. That's not so bad. But at the moment, I would say don't buy, don't sell, wait for an opportunity to buy below 155. Closer to 150 would be really good for an Ishtar. At the moment, I would not make a move on this. Here's the Manticore, just like the Hound, also slowly going down, so showing some stability. Let's see if you can already buy them below 22. Nope. So that's definitely a big no. I mean, there's still ample supply. The sellers are coming in at below 23 million. The buyers are at 22 million. That's just too small a margin to invest. You need to wait for this all of this supply to have put their pressure on the buy orders, have those go even lower, and then maybe you can buy some Manticores, I think. And next up, the Nemesis, also going down, but not at what I would call a bottom. If you can buy them like for 18 million, then that's good, but 18.5, it's not that bad on the charts, but I would wait for a better opportunity. Next up, the Oneros here, going as low as 140, 137.5 for the buyers. Could be interesting because we do see that the Oneros has gone for as high as 160 for a more stable period, spike up to 170. This could be okay to invest in some Oneros. Still, Take-Two Market seems to have come quite alive with a bit of supply as well, so be careful. Here's the Purifier then, going pretty stably down towards 18 million. What are the buyers at? 16.7. Okay, Purifiers could be interesting to buy, but honestly there's a few others that look pretty similar. So would you be buying Purifiers at the moment? We've seen a few buy opportunities, not a lot of sell opportunities. Here's the Scimitar settling at 140. I would say you could still sell Scimitars above 140 million, despite the fact that the buyers are closing in on that. Considering where we are at the chart, I think that if you still have them and you can sell them for a profit because you bought them around this period, then I would say do so. I do think we'll see that one pull back. And then finally here the Vengeance, another assault frigate coming in at 19 billion with a high of 21. It's more than 10%, but really, would I gamble on the Vengeance? No, not really. So I would say bad week for the Take-Two market, bad week for the trades. There are a few ones that you might be able to buy at a decent price, but it stays a gamble on when will you be able to actually make a profit. And so I think that it is possible that all of this movement in the plex, the minerals, the Tech 1 market is causing people to slow down when it comes to their buying and selling of Take-Two ships at the moment. So if you have some spare money, maybe you could try to invest them in a few of the right ones. But again, if you have that money, why would you invest in Take-Two ships, which are a bit risky, when you could invest that in minerals, which are bound to be a good investment on the medium term whenever CCP will actually announce the expansion. So I think that all of that is playing pretty heavily on the market at the moment. Next up, Tech 3. Let's see what happened with that. I'll keep you guys in suspense for a little bit longer. We'll start with the destroyers. Here's the Hecate going up to 44 million, but 42 to 44, that's not that big of a move. Supply still decently robust. I mean, 139 here, 17 here, still has decent supply, but it did go up in price a little bit. Buyers still at 40 million. I think that this will actually go back down by next week. We'll see if it actually happens. Here's the Hecate then, going for 48 billion. That's lovely supply. Look at that, 211, 12, 16 right here, another 8 right there. So that's going to put some pressure on that price, probably bring that in line in the upcoming week as well. Here's the Jackdaw chart then, also slowly going up, 49 million. We still see 142 of them coming in as well. In fact, all of this is less than 24 hours old, so people are definitely taking the opportunity to invest, to supply the market with a lot of Jackdaws. This is gonna put some pressure on this as well. And then the Zwepel right here going for, let's see, again 50 million. I really get the idea that some people have just been buying out huge stocks of ships right here. It's sort of strange, but 285.99, you can see that that supply is really big when it comes to the Tech 3 market right here. So tactical destroyers sellers are working their way towards 50 million across the board. Pretty interesting. Will they be able to maintain that price? It is possible, but I think that that if supply is high enough, it could actually put enough pressure on that and bring these destroyers back in line a little bit more towards 45, 44 million, something like that. Next up, the cruisers. Let's start with the Tengu, which well, has a huge spike up with the data point as high as 260 million. Let's see if in like that half hour, 45 minutes since I've checked the price, if something drastic has happened. Not really. I mean, sure, a lot of them have been brought to the market. Here we've got 36, 68, 10, but they're still going for 259 million. So it's not like this is completely out of steam and that is already crashing down substantially. So Tengu's 260 million. If you have them lying around, I would say try to sell them, because this is an increase in price of 63%. This is something that I've rarely seen in the Tech 3 market. Let's see if this actually translates to the others as well. Here's the Proteus. Yep, look at that big move up to 260 million, and it's empty. The Proteus market is pretty much empty. What is happening here, guys? This is one of the weirdest EVE talks I've had in quite a while. Somebody bought pretty much every Proteus on the market. Did they like sell their plexes and move that into really big ship buying or something like that? But that is absolutely enormous. If you have Protei, I mean, bring those to the market. Last week you could sell them for 150, now you'll be able to sell them for 250 or even 280 million. Let's take a look at the Loki then. Also bought out, but it's not as drastic an increase in price. So you're selling those for like 220 million. But yeah, clearly people bought everything that was not, that was like below 225 million or something like that. All of this is recent. Yep, exactly. So the Loki has been bought out as well. The big opportunity seems to be the Proteus, because that one is going for 280, or the Tengu going for 260. Let's take a look at the Legion then. Also pretty much bought out, and starting the chart here still has to catch up to that. So what is happening here, guys? I don't know. This is very weird. Is this insider trading? Can we start speculating that someone from the CSM may have leaked something to an alliance that they shouldn't have, and they've made big moves on the market here? Do they know things we don't? This is one comment that I got, I think, on another video, that some really big players that are not content with EVE are looking to really mess with the market at the moment, and that's why plexes are going so high. Is this all part of a big strategy from a few major players? I don't know, but it's definitely interesting. I've never seen so many ships on the sell order size being pretty much bought out completely. An increase in price of like 63% in less than a week on some of these ships, and probably in just days on some of these Tech 3 ships. I've never seen that before. Plexes are really high and coming back, but is that the market? Is that CCP is doing? What is happening here? It's quite an incredible week already, yeah, it just makes for, I can't wait to see how all of this is going to work out by next week. Will Tech 3 supply be strong enough to fill that gap, and will they have pulled back quite a lot, or is this something that we don't know about, that is sustainable, and that does mean that Tech 3s are worth that much more? Is there a rebalance coming? Stuff like that. It's going to be quite interesting, I think, in the upcoming weeks. But for the extra products, 3710, I'm going to touch on the battlecruisers. Let's see if speculation has happened there, because those are getting a bit of a rebalance as well in the upcoming release. So let's start with the standard ones. Let's just quickly touch on this chart. Harbinger, nothing too dramatic to report there, I think. The Oracle, I don't think those get rebalanced, but here is the Prophecy. Yeah, little spike up for the Prophecy. Maybe those ones do become more efficient than before, or has that one been bought out? There's not that many of them on the market anymore. Interesting. Let's take a look at some of the Kaldari ones. Here's the Drake, definitely working its way up. Here's the Ferox. Look at that, clearly increasing in price, but there's still ample supply of Feroxes, at least. Thank God. Not everything has been bought out in Jita, but moving their way up from 50 to 60 million, probably due to the rebalance here. That's not bad. And then the Naga will not have moved because those are not touched. Next up here we've got the Brutix, clearly spiking up to 62 million. So that rebalance has had a major impact there. Talos does not move, and then the Myrmidon coming back in price. I guess being a drone boat, since all of the battlecruisers get like a big bonus to their weapon systems that are not drones, so to their guns, this could be why the Myrmidon is not moving like the Brutix just has. Interesting. Then the Minotaur, let's take a look at a Cyclone. Went up quite dramatically, settles right here at around 47 million. Let's see what the Hurricane's been doing. Slight buff to that one as well, apparently. 50 million to 58 million all of a sudden. Personally, I do think that what is the real value of these ships is the mineral cost. So I think all of this will slowly die down once the hype is over. But maybe they expect some doctrines or something like that to be built around 1 or 2 battle cruisers that have seen a big buff. That is possible, and that those could settle higher, but I think most of these will actually pull back. And then maybe we'll also touch on the faction ones, because those get rebalanced as well. Brutic's Navy issue, it tried to go up to 190, but it's already coming back down a little bit, so I don't think that that one seems to have had such a major impact or a lasting impact. Drake Navy issue, I think this one could, you know, definitely it was at 170 for quite a bit, jumped up to 200 and is now settling at 190. It's where we were 6 months ago, but I think this becomes a really good PvE ship because of the resistance bonus. I think that it gets... I liked this rebalance. I definitely considered that for PvE as well, and so I think that the market saw that as well and is going to ask more for a Drake Navy issue. Harbinger Navy issue, that's not bad, spike up to 200 million, settling down to 180, but considering where we come from, Harbinger Navy issue clearly should have been buffed quite significantly if I read this chart correctly. And then Hurricane Fleet issue, okay, the spike is there. We were at the bottom of 110 up to 150, so that potentially would have been some really nice money, and we're settling at 150, but considering where we were 6 months ago, doesn't actually look like it's something all that out of the ordinary. So yeah, there you go guys, some of these battle cruisers moving because of the rebalance as well. Very strange week in EVE Talk this week, I must say. I'm baffled by quite a few things, and so I look forward to what's happening in the upcoming weeks and to next week's EVE Talk to see if any of this will have settled down. Anyways, that's it for this week guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.